Well, hello. Welcome back to Boss Talk. It is Wednesday, February 16th, and I am so excited to be here with you all again. Welcome to Boss Talk. If this is your first time, we are talking to bosses here. It's called Boss Talk, and that stands for bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And tonight I have a woman who absolutely is the epitome of all of that. First of all, she is my sorority sister, my Sans, my line sister. We crossed in 1979, the spring, and we have been dear sister friends ever since. My guest, Lani Salter, is what is called in the artistic world a curator of ideas. She has her bachelor's in organizational leadership and a master's in business. She is a business development consultant. And so, if your business needs anything related to branding, marketing, ideal conceptualization, Lani Salter is your girl. So, without another word from me, I am going to bring to Boss Talk Lani Salter.
Hi. Oh, I can't do that. That left me about 20 years ago.
Well, it's funny. Mine left and came back. I don't even know how. How are you, Lani?
I'm doing well. And I'm glad to be here. I've been following your show, and I'm loving all the boss talk from the boss women that you have in your life. So it's really a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here tonight. I love having, it's been amazing because as I go through my thoughts about who my guests are going to be, I'm always excited because my guests are my people, my friends, my tribe. And I love that I am, that my tribe is just filled with boss women and a few good men because we do have our gentlemen's monthly where we have a gentleman on every month. So it is a pleasure to have you here tonight, Soror.
Thank you.
All right, we got some our folks in here. Let's see who this is. Okay, you might know this person. MLB, good evening, my undergraduate classmates, Lani and Sean. I know this discussion will be a blessing. Who MLB?
Mary Bradley.
I was getting ready to say that.
Hey, Mary.
Hello, Mary. Thanks for joining us in on here tonight. And then we have our soror team. Hello, ladies. Delta Phi in the house. Yes, Delta Phi. And we got more Delta Phi in the house. Sora's Lani and Shaw Delta Phi. That's right. Well, Lani, I gave a bit of a description about what it is that you do. You can tell it better. So tell our boss talkers out there what it is that you actually do in the world.
Besides goofball. Well, I have been a solo business development and brand consultant since 2007. After I left, I retired from my professional career. I was the senior vice president of human resources for the Girl Scouts, and so, I left right about the time that the stock market crashed, and I thought I had this great ideas about starting my own business. I am an entrepreneur at heart, so I knew I was going to do something on my own. I wasn't ready for some of the things that happened in the market that affected my business, but I have been consulting with nonprofits, for profits, personalities, and so I help them to develop their brand, develop their business, um, and I kind of look at myself as a jack of all trades. But the thing that I think I bring to my clients, that even though I do so many other things, like I write web content, I write the content for some of their product lines, but the thing that I love the most that I bring is creativity. One of my clients used to call me the guru of creativity. So, and I found that to be a very, very high compliment.
I would 100% concur. And I think the sorors on here and anyone that knows you can definitely attest to that. I mean, any event, anything that happens in and within 5 minutes, Lani has a beautiful meme made. She has a something funny and cute and creative and unique. And I just absolutely love that about what I have been able to see and glean from your work.
Well, I can tell you, Sean, one of the reasons why I do those kinds of things is because as a consultant, when I first started out, I started realizing, man, I refer more business to other people, other professionals. And I started at the end of the day, I said, well, when I look at my spreadsheet, everything I'm referring to other people, I can learn how to do that. I can figure that out. And so some of the skill sets that I have were self-taught.
I
And
love that.
those were, and I think everybody has to be somewhat self-taught because the market is going to change. What you know today is obsolete tomorrow. And
Absolutely.
so those things like I didn't go to school to build websites and things like that and do all the scientific things. I think it was you who used to call me Steve Jobs illegitimate.
I did. I did. I remember that. Oh, look, our Sands is on. Hello, Debbie.
Hi,
See you
Debbie.
well. Good evening. So listen, Lani, I love what you said about, realizing that, you're kind of like a one-stop shop, right? Because so often, and it is good to refer out because we want everybody to get a piece of the action, so to speak, and be able to uplift others in what they do. But it's also smart business practice to see what you can do for yourself and do it well. Now, it's important that last piece, do it well,
Do it well.
and you do. So I love that. It's almost like the black girl magic thing is really moving on.
Oh, better
I
have
love
something going.
Oh, I think we got a Salter on here. Hold on, who's that? Charlene. Hey,
Hi,
Lady and
Shelly.
sister.
Shout
Hi,
out to my baby
girl.
sister.
Yes, yes. So Lani, what else you said that blows my mind is that you retired and like you're 12 years old. So you and I'm your baby sister.
I'm 18 for the next 70 years.
I guess so. But so you retired from one profession early.
Mhm.
And what made you decide it was time to go?
Um, I think when I was spending a little too much time at the water cooler goofing off, I wasn't challenged, and I also always wanted to go out on a high note.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the work that I did for my employer, but I knew that as an entrepreneur, there was always some dream. There was something bigger and greater, always pulling me
Yes.
this way or that way.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, when you realize that the thing that drives you, and you probably know this, the thing that will drive you is innovating something, making something happen that never happened before, trying
Yes.
something new, just believing. I like the phrase that says, she believed she could, so she did. And
Yes.
that is kind of one of the things that drove me is that I believed I could do this, so I did it.
Love
Um,
it.
and I love that about being an entrepreneur because there are lots of risks,
Oh
especially
yeah.
if
Yeah.
I always say on Monday I start my work starts over. I have a whole clean canvas every Monday because my work is creative. So
Yes.
whatever I'm writing, whatever I have to create has to start over on Monday. There is nothing on a shelf that I can pull off and say, "Oh, here, let me get this and redo
Right.
that." Everything is created.
I love that. Well, I can definitely relate to um the the going out on a high note, although often I didn't do that because, girl, I always like to say I've been fired from some of the most fabulous places on the planet. But when I left, a little bit of their fabulousness disappeared as well. You know what it was?
Absolutely.
But you know what it was? Yes, Terry. Terry says it's your passion. It's absolutely true. And I
Absolutely.
always knew at any of those places, that was not my passion. It was
Right.
not my passion. My
Right.
passion has always been something outside of what I did for money. for many, many, many years. And
Mhm.
well, not that many now that I think about it, because I've only had like my longest, you know, residency at any job was 10 years. 10 years. And I worked for a high end jewelry concern for 10 years. And then when they asked me to go home, I skipped down Rodeo Drive because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm a born entrepreneur and I wasn't living in my shape. You know, I like to call it your shape. It's what, you know, your God-given, God-driven purpose.
Yeah.
And I wasn't living in that. And so God kept saying, Sean Ray, it's time, you know, time to go. I got stuff for you. I got stuff for you. And I'm like, oh, let me stay here and grind, grind, grind. And no, he said, okay, girl, look, you got to go. And
Yeah.
at that point, I was able to go out there and the world, it was almost like the world became this big old oyster and it just opened up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, whoa,
I
you
got to
know,
tell you this one really funny. This is the moment I knew. When I first moved to California, Los Angeles, and I went out to Venice Beach, and I'm walking along Venice Beach, and I see all of these people with these little 4 feet by or 5 feet little areas, and they were selling stuff, and I mean just all kind of things. And I
mhm,
loved being at Venice Beach. And so back then I had a I would say I was a brick house because I put on some roller skates.
come on.
I got me one of those spots with that's 5 feet by 5 feet. I had a cotton candy machine. It was, and I had a sign. I was teaching at LA High School at the time, and I had the kids to make a sign that said Lani's Old Fashioned Candies. I put my little hot pants on, the roller skates on, and I was going up and down Venice Beach. And then I rented a big cotton candy machine. Problem, and I had like 40,000 cones, and I had a big line going down Venice Beach, and the cotton candy machine, I'm doing like this and I'm just spinning and spinning. And every time I pull the cone up, the cotton candy would be wrapped around my arm and the cone would be in the air. And people, they laughed me off the beach. And I said, I'm not stopping here, because I knew that I was going to have fun doing what I do and I was going to enjoy it. And I did. And that
Absolutely.
sort of gave me my, yep, I'm never going to work for somebody else like, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Now we work sort of 7 days a week, all day. And I'm trying to change
Right.
that too.
24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, Eve's Place of Peace is on. She said, beautiful.
Uh,
Absolutely. You knows that with you comes some story, some crazy antics that weren't supposed to happen, but that you made work. So I absolutely love that you had cotton candy wrapped around your arm. That is
at the
so
time, it was
perfect.
cool to
That
have
is
guys eating cotton
perfect.
candy off my arm. I'm just saying.
There you go. But you know what? That but the important thing is that even in that, sort of what shall we call that? It wasn't a failure, that learning experience, right? There was a lesson, and the lesson was even if the cotton candy ends up on my arm, I'm not going back into somebody else's job, doing somebody
Exactly.
else's thing, making somebody else's money for them, you
Mhm.
know
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
true, because girl, you know me, I have sold everything. That my motto was, I'll do anything to keep from working a 9 to 5 as long as it's not illegal or immoral, and I've stuck to that code. But I've had
Okay,
very
I
few
like that.
9 to 5s. Okay,
Okay.
so I can totally relate to that. Ah, there's Terry. Hello, Terry, welcome, good to see you at
Hey,
Boss Talk.
TT.
So, okay. So, Lanny, that our series that I have been doing for the month of February in honor of my dear King, William Joseph, shalom, y'all, has been
Shalom.
has been about grief, loss, and choice. And, you and I have talked about this very topic without even having a title. But I think that for me, when I think of grief, loss, and choice, it's that we grieve so many we have so many options and so many times that we grieve in our lives, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
it is death. Sometimes it's the loss of a job, of a friendship or relationship. There's so many things to grieve. And with COVID came more and more quote unquote opportunities for people to grieve just because of the mere fact that it took so much away from so many of us so many times, right? And so what I figured out is that I had to find a way to grieve that allowed me to continue to live my life. And so each day I get up now and I make a choice, and my choice is joy. My husband, William Joseph, was pure joy. And he brought me and everybody who came into contact
Yes.
with him pure joy. And you well know that. You know
Yes,
he knew and
absolutely.
loved you, and you the same. So would you tell some of the people on Boss Talk what COVID and that season of COVID, what kind of losses you may have experienced during this time?
Okay. First, I want to say over the last 2 years, I've come to believe that this whole COVID pandemic, this is it's really a season of change. And
Mm,
I think that it's being controlled. God controls everything. The
yes.
scientists can't figure it out. Whatever it is, God is in control. But I think what He is, and I'm not a minister, but I do study the Word, and I believe that God is ushering in a season of change.
Oh,
And
girl.
so, in that, unfortunately, came lots of death. I remember when this thing first started, and I would hear on the news, that 2,000 people died. And then the numbers got bigger and bigger. And I remember thinking to myself, God, every morning I'd get up and I'd get to the news and I would just be like, what? Like I'm not believing this. And then, but I kept praying,
Right.
God, please don't let this touch my family. Please don't let anything happen to my family, my friends, my loved ones. And then it happened. And
Mm,
it was it was my mother that she got COVID. But the crazy thing is my mom got COVID in the hospital because she went to the hospital with
mhm.
a nosebleed. And she was there a month, and then they did a COVID test, and that's when they learned that my mother had COVID. Um, so my mother fought for 4 months. I mean, she fought and fought and fought. And there were times when we really thought my mom she was gonna make it. But every day it's like my eyes just grew bigger and bigger and bigger. But the thing that also grew was my faith and confidence in God. Even in death, my confidence remained in God.
Yes.
But the when my mom actually passed, it was just a shock. I was actually on the phone with Terry Mann, and it was the day after inauguration, and we were talking, and I just broke the conversation. I said, "Man, where is my mama?" And it was actually on the inauguration. I said, "Where is my mama?" Because she's just been in this hospital, and then the next morning, we get a call that our mom died. And so
Wow.
it was, and my mom had just celebrated her birthday. We all celebrate our birthdays all around the same time. And I realized that there was so much to death that I didn't understand. And in fact, when it happened, I said, "This is not your mama's way to handle death." And there's a couple of things I do want to mention to your audience that I think are key takeaways for me
Mm,
in processing and handling my mother's death. I didn't handle it well. I'll be the first one to admit I did not.
What
I
makes you
was
say that, Lani?
because there were there were things that I knew and I understood, but I just didn't want to accept. And
Mm,
I didn't want to accept that my mother was one of those that got COVID and died. Even
mm,
though, you know, I also had to accept that my mother was ready. I have been fellowshipping with Dr. Julius West at Sunageo Christian Fellowship Church
mm.
in California, and one day he said, "You, why didn't you die in that car accident? Why didn't you get COVID? And why didn't you this?" And then he said, "It's plain. It's simple, because you are not going to leave here until God has been
Yeah,
satisfied that
yeah,
you have fulfilled the purpose for which he brought you here. And if you never fulfill that, then God is saying, I'm satisfied. She is never going to fulfill her purpose."
right.
But that meant a lot to me, that
Mm,
I don't have to live in fear. And my mother, when it was her time to go, it was her time. And so I think the one of the first things that I would say that was the most important to me, and I learned mostly out of my own failure, was that you have to prepare for it. And there's really three ways that I think that you have to prepare. One is you have to prepare for it with your love. So if there's somebody that you love, don't wait for them to be in the hospital or
girl.
don't. You have to prepare in advance that that person that you love, I would talk to my mother. There's not a time when I talk to my sisters and my brother today. When we get ready to hang up, we say, okay, I'll call you back later on tonight. All right, love you, bye. Oh, and by the way, Sean, Ariva Martin,
Aretha
we'll
Martin.
get
Ah!
no, I won't. But anyway,
All right.
so
You won that
it's
one. We'll tell the audience
we'll tell them about that later.
about that
But
later.
you have to prepare your love. The people that you love them, tell them, experience, express it. Um,
Absolutely.
Even if you, at the time I was living in Los Angeles, I'm, 2,500 miles from my mom, but I was as close as whatever came out of my heart. And I'm one of those people. I'm very demonstrative with my love and my affection. I want people that I love to know I love you.
Mm,
I don't have a problem
absolutely.
with that. And I'm kind of sappy with that, but prepare for that. And if you love somebody, don't leave it in the closet. Let
Hello.
them
Oh,
experience. And so that when they do leave, they're not leaving and you're not going, I didn't get it. I wish I had done this, or I
that
didn't.
sad. I
There's
wish.
nothing. I wish I had, and there's nothing that in my mother's passing or my father's passing that I don't have any regrets, because I loved on them. We expressed it. My mother would, even times when I would call my mother and she wasn't in a talkative mood, she'd be real, you know, curt. And I said, okay, well, let me let you go. And then she sensed that. And about 5 minutes later, my mother would call back and say, hey, Lani, I was doing this or that. I didn't mean. And that was a love language too. But I
Absolutely.
think you have to prepare your love, your heart, and your faith,
Mm.
because your faith will be tested.
Your
And
love, your heart, and your faith. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Terry says, Terry Davis, TT, because we got two Terrys on here tonight. Grief wears so many different faces, including anger. It's so important that folks work their way through all the stages of grief. Absolutely. It is so true, Terry. Thank you for sharing that. And the thing that I want to say about stages, because a lot of times when people think about the stages of grief, they think you're supposed to do stage one, stage two, stage three, stage four, stage five. I'm good. And it's like a no, not at all. And the thing about that is you can go through one stage and think that you have like the first one in the five stages of is
Anger.
acceptance.
Mhm.
It's like, no, denial. The first one is denial. That's right. And absolutely every day I still deny that William is gone. And I know it full well. Every night I go to bed, he's not there. But I every day I feel like this can't be my life, you know? But I
Mhm.
love what you said about being demonstrative with your love, and I can definitely attest to that being so true about you, and one of the reasons that so many of us love you so the way that we do, because you never hold back in that, and that's a beautiful, beautiful character trait that you wear well. And I think about when you said the last thing you always say with your mom, and this is how we kind of got to the Ariva Martin piece. So Ariva, if you're out there, know that every single day your name is mentioned very fondly.
Like 5 or
But
6 times.
yes, yes, but the last thing, the last conversation that William and I had was I love you, and we had these all these silly little things that we used to do. So when he said um I love you. And I said, I love you too, baby. And he goes, I love you more. And I go, that's not possible. And he goes, because I'm bigger than you. Or we would be like, hang up. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Like we were 10. And then he would always say, girl, I'm not hanging up on you. You violent. But, that's your own language, your own love language in the relationships that we have, and we speak that language that is so personal and so honest and true. And so when we think of how quickly someone can be snatched away, and I think this year, this long 2020, because it's like 2021 was an extension of 2020. We became so clear on how precious life is.
Yeah.
Still, let's say hi to some folks. Oh, look here. Hey, Deb says, hey, y'all, I'm here.
Damn.
Thank you for being here. That's part of the Salter clan. Love it. Let's see. Connie, prepare your love, heart, and faith. My God, absolutely. And I just want to give a shout out to Connie. Connie will be closing out the series of grief, loss, and choice next week. So please tune in to meet Miss Connie Caravan of Maryland and over there in the DMV. And let's see what Gigi's here. Hey, Gigi. Gigi always comes. We love you for that. I tell my family often that I love them daily. Great advice. Absolutely. Someone is saying hi to Lani. Tam boy. Hi.
10. Oh, I have to give a big shout out to a couple of people.
Okay, go.
Okay. Um, so a couple of people. Um, and I have to
Breathe.
tell you,
I see it.
when you talk about choices and you talk about how you manage grief, as I said, I didn't handle it well. I balled up in a fetal position. I cried 24/7. I was angry. I was in shock. I was like, what? Every day I was confused,
Mm,
unbelievably. And I had some people in my life who hung in there with me and allowed me to go through this crazy madness. And one person, and I'm not doing this in any order, but I work, one of my clients is a film producer and just well known for producing a lot of, at one time, I think the most Lifetime movies ever. But
my
Kyle, Clark,
favorite.
and Tam, they are now not clients, but they're family now, and they always will be. And after my mom passed, and I just thought I was going to explode mentally, I got in my truck and I just started driving, not too far because I'm not a good driver. And so I drove up lived in Woodland Hills, and Kyle and Tam Tam lived in Woodland Hills. So I call him up and I said, Kyle, this is Lani. I'm just driving around. I'm just gonna wave at y'all, but I'm not getting near anybody. He said, okay, Lani. So I'm going up, and he says, oh, just pull over here in front of the house. Really, really beautiful house on the cliffs in Woodland Hills. And I said, I'm not getting out because I don't want to touch anybody. And I said, and don't do that white boy thing, because I'm not gonna, I'm not getting out of the car. Tam Tam runs out of the house with a towel on. Kyle said, get out, just I'm gonna be on this end of the truck, and you can be on that end. And I got out, and I had Baby and Sweetie with me. That's my two dogs. And do you know, he chased me around my truck anyway because he refused and said, I'm going to give you a hug. Nobody could come to my house. I had COVID. I was sick with COVID. And yet he and Tam Tam came to my house. They called me late at night, talked me through some really, really tough times. And so I just love them. They would hang food outside my door. They just loved up on me. And I experienced the same thing. Big, huge shout out to my cousin, Vanessa Woolfolk, because when you experience death or some sort of a tragedy, at the moment it happens, people are, they're there to give you their condolences. They'll express it, and then they're off. And then a month later, when you find yourself really tripping, like I was going like this, are you telling me my mom is gone?
Yes.
I'm not believing. My cousin Vanessa, I have to say this, I learned how not to love and help someone to grieve by seeing my cousin help me. My cousin, what she did for me, long after.
That's powerful.
Okay.
That is so powerful.
And she wouldn't give up. She would send just randomly a card or, a plant, or, I mean, not at the funeral or during that time, but when it was over. In fact, I pulled this out because I got this this is a book.
This way. Oh, yeah.
Can you see it?
Tilt it forward a little bit. Tilt the top forward. There you go.
Okay.
That way. Here we go. Prayers for strength and healing. Oh, I love it.
This, my cousin Vanessa and her daughter Jossie gave me this, and it's dated, and it was little devotions and little prayers, and I turn to this like every day. That, and to my sister Deb. I got on her nerves, but I called her every night. I cried. And then I started writing little notes to my mother. And my sister Deb was the inspiration.
That's beautiful. And those are little tidbits that are priceless, and that you don't know what's going to help you when you're in that season, right? You don't know what you need. And so I think it's wonderful when people don't call you and say, call me if you need anything, or what do you need? Because the answer to that is, I'll be doggone if I know. Right. I need to find my mind right now. I don't know who I am without this person that I have, known for you my whole life. And with William, it's certainly, our relationship, it certainly seemed like we were joined at the hip from birth. We just connected so well. And it was such a gift, to have that man in my life like that, and to have COVID go, bitch, just kidding. And of course, spiritually, we know that, like you said, God is in control. God makes the decision to bring his best home. And I totally get that. But in my humanness, in my spirit, in my flesh, I was like, no, God, no. This was not okay. And I know you and I had those conversations, when you lost your mom, and, and I love thinking about just the timing and how God does it. He is, we have been together since we were 18 and 19 years old.
Right.
And then to think that full circle, you know, we come back together living in the same city. And I think you lived here and left and came back,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
you know,
I did.
and then it's like for such a time as this,
Yeah.
you
Two,
know,
two
and
things.
that's amazing.
Two things I want to say about that is that everybody is going to experience it, and there is what I like to refer to all the time, and it was, I think, Peter Drucker coined the phrase emotional bank accounts. You
Girl.
you need to be prepared by making adequate deposits
Mm,
into emotional bank accounts with people who will be there when
yes.
you need to make a withdrawal, because you will need to make a withdrawal from that emotional
Okay.
bank account, because you're going to be in denial, you're going to be angry, you're going to, what do they say, storming, norming, and forming, and
Ooh,
until that
girl, say that
comes
again.
full
I like it.
circle, you need to have somebody that y'all are like this, or you say, okay, look, you making deposits when things are good, and there's emotional
Yeah.
support and all that, for the time when you're just not going to be there, you're not going to meet people's expectations, you're going to let things fall through the cracks,
Ooh,
all
girl.
of that. Hi, Tam. But that emotional bank account, you better make sure that it never comes back as NSF, non-sufficient.
Ooh.
Because if you go
Insufficient.
to make a withdrawal and you get an NSF, it's because you didn't put in enough
Mm,
to sustain that relationship. So that's important. And I think the other thing is that for me, I had this unbelievably crazy reality check. Okay. My
mm.
mother birthed me, and somebody cut an umbilical cord, and I lived for 60 plus 63 years.
Girl, don't nobody
But
believe
when
that.
my mother and father, when my mother died, and then it was both parents are gone, was the first time when you're born into this world, you don't feel them cut that umbilical cord. But when your mom or your dad leaves, you will feel that umbilical cord spiritually.
Mm.
You will feel it's separating for the first time. And even with that, I think to myself, wow, God he's something else.
Ain't he, girl?
Because yes, because I'm thinking, uh, how in the world is it? I remember when my daughter was born and seeing how that cutting that umbilical cord. I'm going,
Right,
that's tough. But we didn't feel anything. The baby didn't
right,
feel anything. The mama didn't feel anything. But
right.
when they die,
Woo!
you feel
Lanny,
that. So
that is wow. That's all I can say about that. That is like so, so true. And I'm living in that space of having lost both of my parents as well. And I certainly felt that when I lost William, because I couldn't turn to mommy and I couldn't turn to daddy. And and he, William, was actually so much like my dad in the way that he treated me and the way that he loved me and all of that. And then all of a sudden, those foundational rocks were gone.
yes, because you had to learn how to run your own bathwater. I do remember that. That's no joke, y'all. That is not a joke. That is serious. Sean William literally ran this girl's bubble bath every night. They were just
Every
singing
night, every morning, every morning. He
every
ran them every
morning.
morning. And you know what I appreciate, Lanny, and we'll talk more about this in walking this journey with you of the loss of William, of the loss of your mom, and how we were able to be there when we were both kind of bankrupt in many ways in our emotional feelings. And to have you call, and Lanny is always ready with a joke. And yes, Connie, I know 63. She said, "What?" Before I
Yes.
share about that, though, Lanny, let's check in with our audience and see who's here. Oh my. Look, Julian West is here. Julius West.
Dr. Julius West, that is my pastor at Sunagale Christian Fellowship in Upland, California. Hey,
Wow, we'll have to get
big
over there and
shout out
visit when
to
pandemic
him.
says it's so. Thank you for joining us, Dr. West. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. And let's see what. Oh, Camilla's here. My birthday namesake. She's coming up soon, too. She said her 20-year-old will not hang up or leave without saying, love you. She insists on it. So grateful for her love. Absolutely. And let me tell you, that 20-year-old is a miracle baby, is a complete miracle baby, and she is the Black Women's Network's baby, and we are so grateful for her and her journey that we get to watch. So thank you for sharing that, Camelia. Let's see. Connie says, Lani Salter, you are a beautiful soul, and I love how you share your heart. His talk is this talk is very inspiring to me. Thank you, Sean Marie Brinkley, for having these very important discussions. We'll get to that part later. We will do something. I know it. Hello, Tiffany Lauderdale, my lipstick lady. And I am definitely wearing my, what is it? Lips. Put it in the chat because I don't remember, but this is one of the shades that I got from you, darling. So thank you. Let's see. Oh, we got a lot of folks up and through here. Let's see who said what. Let's see who this is. Prayers for strength and healing. Lovely. She's talking about your book. What a blessing to have folks who care about you so much. Absolutely, Terry. Absolutely.
Sean, let's shout out to our sorors from Delta Phi. We have, what is it, 13, 12, 14 of us sorors from Ohio University. And let me tell you, when I tell you, the sorors from Delta Phi chapter at Ohio University, every day, do y'all hear me? Still, some people have dropped by the wayside, but every day, this group, this core of 13 or 14,
it's a total of 14 of us, including us.
Right. I can tell you, we have our own. I call Terry Mann our chaplain.
Yes, the chaplain.
We have somebody who's a chaplain. We have somebody who's going to always cut up. That would be me.
I'm behind you.
When it gets too serious and all that, I'm like, let me throw some cut up in this and
yes
and whatnot. But
lighten this up a little bit.
Yeah, that group of women, without fail, you thought, you might have thought that this would we keep going like this for maybe a couple of weeks, but every day, y'all, and we check in on each other and we support and encourage each other and we make each other laugh. Sometimes we make each other cry. And we have all kinds of things that we talk about, and it does help to get your mind away from. I know there have been sorors that I have talked to late at night. I remember Vanessa was in Atlanta and I was in LA, and we talked till 5:30 in the morning.
I'm not surprised. I love it.
5:30 in the morning. And it's the same thing with my cousin. I want to tell you this. My cousin Jap does not, we call her name is Vanessa, but she called me one night and talked for 9.5 hours. I was like this, because you might get 30 seconds from her, but she was in ministry mode.
Wow.
When I can't say enough about what my cousin did, and my sorors and Dr. Julius West and the whole Sunagale family that just took me in. And I never felt like I was, even when I moved to Atlanta, I never felt like I was far away. And they always checked on me. So that umbilical cord that you are going to feel sort of severed.
Yes.
You believe me, you better birth some new relationships. You better birth something in somebody who will be there and help you, catch you, because you're gonna fall down. You're gonna break down. I mean, I was a mess. I remember one Sunday, Pastor Julius, I'd ask him to pray for me because I felt like I was in a space I'd never been before emotionally, and and I told myself, well, I'm going to go traveling today. I'm going to go from the bedroom to the couch, and so I went
On a
to
trip.
my couch, right? So I went to the couch and I tuned into Sunagale Christian Fellowship, and the next thing I know, the phone rang and I did like this. I said, "Hello," and it was Pastor Julius, and he said, Yolanda. He called me by my government name. He
Come
said,
on,
Yolanda, the next time you have us praying for you, we don't want to hear you snoring.
I remember that.
Because y'all know I'm subject to fall asleep in midair.
Anywhere. We will be talking on the phone late at night, and Lani will say something, and then the next thing I know, she's gone, and I'm like, Lani, and then whatever, and then we both will start talking about something crazy, and still try to carry on a conversation, and be like, okay,
Right,
wait. It's almost like you shake your head to try to get back to the conversation you were having, get your brain to
right.
reconnect. I love it.
Oh,
I love it. Well, let's see what the folks are saying. Terry says grief seems to be the price we pay when we love. Yes, Terry.
ooh, yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
We love those. We love those we love the most. We grieve the hardest. Yes, absolutely. Let's see. Mary says there's no timetable for feelings of pain after losing someone you love. So true. So very true. So true, Terry says, but that way it is important to have a that's why probably it's important to have a foundation in faith. Absolutely. And listen, every single day when I get up, and people have often said to me, how do you do it? Because I'm doing my work, I'm living a full life. But the only way that that is possible is because I know that God wakes me up every morning and he allows me to have my morning cry, because I do. I still have a morning cry. Um, we are one we are 1 year, 2 weeks away from the day that my sweet William went to live with God. And I every day I have to get up, I have to thank God, and then I have to ask him to help me get myself from point A to point B. And I am reminded fully that I used to say all the time, God does all things well. And then when I lost William, I vowed that I would not question that. So I changed the way that I say that. And I say, God does all things well, not just when I like it.
Ooh, wee, awesome.
And we think about his race was done.
Mhm.
It was done. And he ran it well. And in his absence, so many, the outpouring of love that I've experienced, the outpouring of people telling me stories about him that I didn't even know, amaze me. And I'm full of gratitude because I get to continue to live and love his memory in such
Mhm.
a way that it sustains me. It holds me up every day when I'm about to fall down. It
You know,
just,
Sean, you said something that just a minute ago that was real key. And I'm going to say this: as Christians, we get to where we say certain things, and then when it happens, we're like, but it will. So one example is how two things. The Bible says, "Be still and know that I am God."
mm, see,
This is that time when you are grieving, that you will get into, the Bible also says, get into that secret hiding
hiding
place
place. Yeah.
where there's something that your friends and your family aren't going to be able to help you with, because
Yes. Ooh.
it's things that involves your heart and your emotions, and it's hard to it's hard for you to put your arm around it. So you have to have the ability, like you said, you get up every morning. I do the same thing. And I find myself now being still
Mm.
and knowing that God is
Is God.
here
Yes.
every day. So
Every
the death and the experience of grief, it will bring you to a place where you will be still and know that God is in the mix. And the
All
other one I think about is how the Bible says, two times I think about is when it's Thanksgiving or Easter and everybody's standing around getting ready to bless the food, and all this food is smelling good, looking good, and you hungry. And everybody has to say a blessing. And you pick the shortest one you in the Bible. Jesus wept.
okay.
But if there's one thing I will tell anybody, I will advise anybody, is feel what you feel. And
Mm,
if you gotta cry, cry. When Jesus, who was the Son of God, who knew he had all this power,
that's
but
right.
when they ran and told Jesus that his friend Lazarus,
Mhm.
I'm figuring it was his
Come on.
BFF. Jesus, the Bible says Jesus wept. So when somebody says to you, well, don't cry, and you know what you do, here, make sure you got
Dishes.
your tissue, but cry. And it's good because guess what? Jesus, who knew he had the power to raise Lazarus,
Yes.
Jesus, who sits on the right hand of God, who had all power to do it, he could have said, stop, let me go get my boy.
Come on, Lanny. Preach. Now you're preaching, girl. I love it. Come on.
I'm just saying,
Come on.
you have to know that weeping is good. There's a
Yeah.
season for it, but
And what happens, Lanny? Weeping comes at night, but what?
joy comes
Joy
in the
comes in
morning.
the morning. Oh, girl. That's what I'm screaming. That is what I am screaming. And and it's so funny because people will say that to you. They'll say, don't cry. They'll say things like he's in a better place. She's in a better place. And what I've had to do in this season is look at the heart and forget about what comes out of here, because it comes from this unknowingness, this place of I don't know what to say, because there are no words. There really are no words, at least not human words. We have to go straight into the Bible and look at those words and know that they come from spirit, they come from God, they come from power and wellness and healing and love. And the words that people say, they're coming from love. They're coming from love. But it's a slippery slope, because when someone says, he's in a better place, I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand. His place is 1, 2, 3, 3, 4 Carl Street. That's the best place. What are you talking about? Huh? Hello? And and you got to look at the heart. You got to look at the heart. When your heart is breaking and aching and all of that, you must go inside to God.
And while you're there, Sean, the other thing that I'm going to tell you is probably the biggest thing that I learned and have valued in this is to be present.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, y'all, you know what? Social media is good and it's great. Your phones are good and texting is good. But there is a time between you and the people who hold an emotional bank account with you. Pick up the phone, check on them,
Yes.
be present. And then when you get there, they're not looking for answers. They're not trying to solve something.
Oh,
What they're
yes.
doing is they're saying, I'm hurting. Um, this is weird. And they need you to
Life
be
don't feel
present.
right.
Listen, right? Just listen. Don't go talking about, well, someone, you know what? People use death as a one up.
Yeah.
Don't try to one up somebody's death.
Yes.
Well, if this person's mother died, they don't need you to tell them about your mother or
Come
your
on.
dog or your whatever. Listen,
Absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
death and how we process it is so personal because it's based on the frame of reference that you have with that person.
Yes.
That
Woo.
so you can't
Woo.
compare your loss. Even if we both lost our mothers, we can't compare our
Right.
grief with anybody.
No.
Grief is the grief that you feel like Sora Terry Davis said that grief is the price we pay for loving someone. And
Exactly.
it's gonna be different, but
Yes.
please be present. If it's been a month and somebody just lost their heart has been broken,
Ripped out of their
and
chest.
I had people who said, one friend told me that another friend said, "Well, she hasn't called me." Hello, okay. And then guess what sets in for me? I'm not even gonna lie to you. I got an attitude. I'm feeling some kind of way because
Right.
you're expecting me, just let me get
To
through
do the
this,
work. To do the work,
do
right?
the work, and then to, you know, go come to you at my time of grief and make sure you're okay. Stop
Right.
that. You
Stop that.
know, be there. Listen. You don't have to figure anything out, but if you have a joint emotional bank account and somebody has made enough
Yeah.
deposits, and it's not an NSF, be there. Be there for
Absolutely.
them.
And you know what, Lani, I tell you, I've been blessed in the ways that you have, that there have been those people that have actually sewn into that deposit and made those deposits and keep that bank account rich and full. And sometimes it's just coming and saying, I don't know what you need, but I'm right here, and I'm just going to come over and I'm just going to sit. People did like things like they came and they de-COVIDed my house because, I had COVID at the same time as my husband. And people came and they were like, you go upstairs, we got this. And they brought in a crew and they disinfected and they cleaned and they whatever. And they brought food and, just all those things. And they were just there. Sometimes every day somebody came and sat with me. And when William passed that same night, my girlfriends, Chantel and Gigi, who's on here tonight, they sat in my front yard in their cars because,
Was
again,
there, yeah.
I had the COVID and they were out there in the car and they waited for the nurse that they got for me. I knew nothing. They got this lovely woman who came to my house for 7 days straight and took care of me and fed me in the morning and sat up with me while I cried and kicked and screamed. And God chose the perfect lady because she had lost her husband 3 years prior. God chose her. That's the one they got. And then people were and then she went away, and then Valentine's weekend I looked up and there she was again, because they knew how William was for me on Valentine's and that would be especially difficult. So know your people, y'all, and pay attention and sow into them, sometimes just with silence, because silence speaks volumes. When someone is grieving, they just need you to be there, and like Lani said, be present. I want to check out the chat because we got some more folks all up and through here. So let's see. Connie, yes, the bathwater. She said, stop it, I'm crying. And one day Lani called and she's like, what are you doing, Shauna Ray? And I said, I'm getting ready to take my bath. And she said, what? What? You learned how to run your own bathwater?
Wow. Choices.
Those are the things that kept me living. Oh, it's the glasses. Yes, girl. You know me, girl. Mm, mm, mm. Thank you, darling. Look who's here. Your Spesh. Hey,
My
y'all. Delta
special.
Phi Strong. Hey, mwah. Hey, Susan. Thank you for joining us tonight. TT says nothing like my
Nothing.
love. Nothing at all. Nothing
Absolutely.
at all. Love that cutting up part. Yes. Yes. That would be Lani. That'd be Lani Lou.
I have to work really hard with my source from Delta Phi. I have to come up with some creative crap to get them, but I get them.
You always do. Let's see what else is being said in the chat. I love the chat. When you know the Lord and follow his plan, God will get you through. Absolutely, T man. You do know that's powerful words. Absolutely, TT. Thank you. Amen, Susan said. The first lady. Amen, amen, Terry said. Connie says, I love hearing you talk about William. It warms my heart to know you had a love so pure and so And it is so apparent that you are tapping into God's peace that surpasses all understanding. Absolutely. And even when I speak about William, it is such a testament to God's love for us, because I was a woman of a certain age when I met William. And William and I loved each other's quirky. And the funniest thing is he got me. He got me every bit, every bit. He loved all this cuckoo-ness and all of
Right.
it. And just it was just so beautiful. And his
John,
sister.
when I met William, I remember thinking to myself, Lord, have mercy. Sean done found her somebody just like her. And I mean, William, when you hear about a man that can drink a woman's bath water, William drinks it. Not only did he run her bath water every day, but he could drink her bath water. He just, but they were. I remember what birthday was it? Was it your 60th birthday party?
Well, the
And
first one was the 50th that you came
no,
to.
the last one.
The last one,
I
the
was at
60th.
both of them, but the last one, I'm looking at Sean and William when they came out on the floor. First of all, Sean had William dressed in a Liberace jacket. It was just blinging everywhere, and they came out like John Travolta and Dirty Dancing. And I'm saying, look at these quirky people here. And I said, I promise you, I kept saying to myself, only Sean and William. Oh,
Everyone said that always. Everyone said that always. And the funny, when I got that jacket and we got that jacket, we went to Macy's. We were going on a cruise in a couple of days. And I found that jacket and I said, oh, baby, look, look. And I held it up and it was just all sequins, just black with sparkle everywhere. And I said, baby, try this on, try this on. And he said, okay. He put his arms and he tried it on. I was like, oh my God, I love it, baby. I love it. Don't you love it? And he said, no, no, I love you.
oh God, the stuff you had that man doing.
But when we got on that cruise and every man and every woman kept saying, oh, I love that jacket, man, you are sharp and all that, he was like, he would go into my, I'm the man, I'm the man.
Oh.
Oh, I love my Williams stories. And you know what? They bring me joy.
Sean, I have to tell you, my siblings, and y'all don't, please don't, I don't want nobody to take this the wrong way. Because when I tell you how I love my brother and my sisters, I love them so much. I can't even begin to tell you. But like I said, we didn't handle everything right. We didn't do well when our father died. We didn't do well when our mother died. And but the strength of who we are,
Mm.
siblings, like now my life with, and I'm trying to not um get so caught up with my sibs that when it's our time, because it's gonna be, my sister Bond always says we all are gonna leave. Okay,
Mm.
so let's just accept that. But I have to give some big love to my brother and my sisters, because at first I wanted to choke them, because when you go through this as siblings, there's five of us, and we were all shocked and mad and bewildered and tripping. And so during that time, you're going to say things that you don't know what
Oh,
you're
yes.
saying. You're going to say things you don't mean. You're going to misinterpret what somebody else is saying to you. Things are going to be so messed up that you cannot trust holding anybody accountable in your, and that's one thing I was going to say with your family. Manage your expectations, because don't forget, they're grieving too,
Oh,
and they
girl.
all grieve in a different way. And sometimes it's during that time that y'all pulling against each other, because that's my mother, that's my mom, that's my mama too, she was my mama first. And between
Yeah.
my siblings, we always had this thing. I always told your mama jokes. I would, even though we had the same mama, I would say your mama. I just love to say.
William and I used to do that.
They made it okay for me to keep saying, like, my sister Deb especially, she'll do something or say something crazy, and I say your mama, and She'll go, "Yo, mama." I said, "That's right. Okay, let's move on."
I
but
love
but that my brother and sisters, when we started out in this journey of getting grieving our mother, I wanted to choke the cowboy stew out of them, and they
it.
wanted to choke the
The
cowboy stew out of
Cowboys
me.
too, girl.
Right? They wanted to choke the cowboy stew out of me too. But you can't, it's that's a volatile, vulnerable time. That's
Yes,
a time when you don't judge each other. That's
yes,
the time when you have to forgive everything. you
yes,
know you really do. And realize that, once the dust settles and
mm,
you start to come back to life.
yes.
Our mother, it's just over a year. January made a year.
Yeah,
But you know, that was nobody told us how to do it.
exactly. And no
But
one
we
told any of us.
but we couldn't live without each other, you
Yes.
know.
And what I love, Lanny, and as much as I loved having you right up the road a piece, I honored you so much for honoring your own heart and your own choice to move back home to be closer to your family. And
Mhm.
as much as it was hard for me to say, well, but she's not gonna be up there no more. But I loved that. I loved that. And I honored that in you. And just, I applaud that in you because you grasp what is most important. And it's always family. It's always family. Look, I what did they say? You can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. But you got to
Exactly.
remember that God chose your family.
Yes.
So there was something in there that you either needed to learn or needed to grow in or something. And
Hmm.
it's true. Like my sisters, I get little love notes, just quiet little love notes, checking in. How you doing? My sister
Hmm.
remembered before anyone had ever said what the day was going to be when it came around to the 1 year. Um, I get commemoration. I like to say rather than anniversary, commemoration of the loss of my husband. And, my anniversary was in December. And my little sister sent a little note. I know what today is for you this weekend. So there's just even the small things that are huge for your heart when there's a hole in it almost. And so I think it's true. And it's just not holding someone accountable or hostage to the words that they have said when their heart was speaking from a grieving place.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And that love covers over a multitude of sin, but God says it best when he says, love, what is it? Corinthians 13, right? Love is patient, love is kind, all of those beautiful things.
Hmm.
Love
And
demonstrates
love is tested.
of the spirit. Absolutely. It is
Love will be tested.
yes, it will. But that's when we have to go back and remember love is all about the fruits of the spirit.
Yes.
I love it all. Let's see what they're saying. Creative crap, Lanny. She's laughing. She says, my God, Sean Lorraine Brinkley, they were present and available for you. Yes, absolutely. And they still are. Because as Lanny said, when a month goes by and 2 months goes by and you're there alone and the memories creep in and the pain and the hurt and the sorrow and all of it, um, it's important that you don't forget. People don't forget you and forget that. And I have a friend who will say, she'll send me a text and she'll say, I'm sending you a treat. Are you home? Yes, I'm sending you a treat. And my doorbell will ring and I will have a boba drink or my favorite chocolate ice cream.
Your gelato you used to get.
you
Yo,
know,
back in the day, at least in the South, they called it sitting up. When
mhm,
somebody dies, people come to your house and they sit up with you. And when my mother died and I was in LA, nobody could come to, and I was sick with COVID. Nobody could come to my house, and all my family was back on the East Coast. And here I am in LA, and with the exception of Kyle and Tam Tam and Brian, another saint I can't thank enough. But
yes,
There was nobody to come to my house and hold my hand. There was
Yes.
nobody to um, sit up with me, bring food or drinks or whatever. You just, even the day that of my mom's funeral, um, when I got up out of the bed, I just turned to the side of the bed and I just said, "Oh, God, help me." And I lifted up my MacBook and I turned it on. And the first image I saw was my brother and sisters walking down the walk in front of the church where my mother's casket was
Mm.
sitting. And I just remember just going, God, this cannot be real. And that sense of something not being real took
Yeah.
me a long time to get past. I mean, and I still have, every now and then I have days where I don't want to get up. I
Mm.
just I think to myself, um, Mama, I have this thing where sometimes I go, dang, I think I would have. I'm getting ready to go pick up the phone and call Mama to say
Yes.
this or that, or you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and it just so that sit up. Let me tell y'all, folks, when
Mm.
someone you love has lost someone they love,
Mm.
sit up with them. Sit
Yes.
up.
That's
And
right.
that sit up means just be there. Drop by and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you." Call them up and say, "What you doing, girl?" And again, just listen. I'm
Yeah.
just let them know you're here, that they're not alone, because that is deafening when you are alone,
Right.
day in, day out, day in, day
Yeah.
out,
That's
and
the
you,
loudest silence ever, right? It is the loudest silence.
girl. Do you know my Alexa started talking to me?
I remember that when we were on the phone once. You're like, shut up. What are you talking about? Stay out of my business.
Right. I mean, I have to admit, sometimes I kind
How
of
you
talk
talk
back
back?
to her.
Yes, well, I recently turned my Siri into the British man. So he says, calling Lani Salter.
I want you
I
to
love
get
it.
JoJo. Yo, what's up?
When
Let
I
me call.
find
Let me
out,
call Lance.
wouldn't it be hilarious though to have one? Because Chantel and I often talk about this, and she'd be like, "Fool, I told you to turn. What you doing? What's up with that?"
Sometimes I have to correct. I have to correct that girl. I have to tell her, stop listening. I didn't. That's not what I asked you. And
I
then
know sometimes we'll be like, "Shh, she listening. Don't say that."
right when I get into my praise song and I want to hear it over and over and over. Do you know? A couple of weeks ago, Alexis, she refused to play my song again, and I said, I did like this. I said, "Girl, did I tell you to play In the Middle by Isaac Ray?" Do you know what she sat there? I said, "Don't let me have to come over there, because if I have to come over there to Alexa,
It's a problem.
right?
It's gonna be a thing,
No,
a whole thing, right?
exactly.
Connie said, "Tell on her, Lanny. I love these stories about William. He was just like her." Well, yeah, his sister said, she told me that when William was going to bring me for them to meet the first time, he said, "Now listen, sis, you tell me what you think. Now tell me, be honest with me. If you don't like her, I want to know, because I just want to pick right." And so she said they met me the first time and they said, "Oh, she's sweet, she's cute." Okay, and then she said the next time they met me, they all were like, and then by the third time, they were like, "She's just as quirky as he is."
God, for real.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Liberace. Yes, girl, you got to see this jacket. It sparkled. It was beautiful. Thank you, Terry. It was a beautiful love story. It still is. Yes. Connie agreed with us on something. Susan says, yes, that is so important. Forgiveness. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it all means nothing. It all means nothing.
Hey,
Only
a lot of people like to say, "I'm not leaving anything here when it's time. You're not going to pull a U-Haul." Okay, well, guess what? You better make sure you don't leave packed up in the garage or in the attic. And that is your love,
that's right.
time to forgive,
Mm.
Just keep trying to, make your relationships real. Forgive the Bible says, forgetting those things which are behind me
Ooh, come
and
on.
pressing toward. So whatever's in behind you, forget and try to keep pressing towards the mark of the high calling.
Ooh,
Okay.
come on.
But the you really are going to get to a place where you're going to realize the things that you value, that you don't want to leave here. Yeah, you better have some insurance and all that other stuff,
Yeah,
but you
there you
got
go.
to make sure that love, that nobody's the question. If there was somebody in my family, y'all better hear this. If there's someone in my family that questions if I love them, y'all need to go somewhere and sit down, because
Okay.
I'm there's all kind of ways. It's not just in the words, because my grandfather Jesse Salter always said, love is what love does.
Mm.
So do that thing and love people, and show them, so that when it's time for y'all to part, because one of y'all is gone on, make sure that there's no question. Don't leave that up in the attic in a picture,
Yes.
whatever, pictures and all that memories. Talk about it. One thing I love about my brother and my sisters is, y'all, when we get together, we talk about everything. I mean, we love to immerse ourselves in stories of how things were, what Mama Nim, we all got Mama Nim,
I'm in them.
what Mama Nim did and
Yeah,
said, and
all of them.
we still talk about it. And guess what? Those are those things that really helped us to get through, get over,
Mm.
feel comforted.
Yes.
I just can't even tell you. Live in those. My cousin Vanessa, when I tell you, we talk about the same thing. We talked about it last year, last month, but every time we hear them or tell them, it sounds and it feels fresh.
Yes. Ooh, I love that. I love that. That's what love does. It refreshes everything.
Yes.
Terry says that you talk about no words. Here's a poem from Anthony Webb called No Words. Let's see this. No words, 2021. No words would fit comfortable in my mouth. No words to take away the pain. No words for grief of a loved one. No words saying I'm sorry for your loss is not enough. No words to give to one who hurts. No words, so I give you my arms. No words to hold you for this moment. No words, I surrender my ears to you. No words, so I can listen to your story. No words, I give you myself. No words, so I can attend to your needs. No words because sometimes no words are necessary. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness, I am going to save that. Terry, thank you so much for sharing that. That is beautiful and that speaks volumes about being silent, being sitting, about love does, like Lani said. Let's say hi to Gwen Goodman, big sis Gigi. She says, the sweet memories we've made with our loved ones lost become treasures for the rest of all our days. Yes, yes. Um, Gwen dropped in towards the end of last week to share about some losses that
Oh,
she's
yeah.
had and about some of the choices that she's had to make. One of them she spoke about was the loss of her 26-year-old son 18 years ago. And as we all know, what you call it, he was a big strapping young man. And at 26 years old, he was taken out by heart disease. And no one knew that this was something that he had. And what Gwendolyn and her family decided to do was have an inspiration walk. And for the last 18 years, they have been doing this walk in the park, in the neighborhood, where people who knew and loved him can come. And there are, as you walk the path, there are inspirational sayings on the trees. And there's a beautiful garden that has inspirational flowers with sayings that inspire you to live and to take care of yourselves, which is amazing. And that is a way to continue the legacy of those that we lose. Those glasses, though, but girl, yes, but you know me, how I do it. Terry says, so true, Gwen Goodman. And Sean B says, I love that. Thank you for reading it. Thank you for listening and for being here. Deb Joe says that's beautiful. Absolutely. Well, Lani, so
Yes.
we did mention one thing before that we would share tonight. And those two things, of course, there's our how we got and what Ariva Martin means, right? So you all
Right.
know Ariva Martin. We know and love Ariva Martin. And Lani's mother, I'm gonna tell this part, would never, Lani told me one night that her mom would never hang up the phone. She didn't like to say goodbye.
Mm-mm.
And so she said sometimes they would say it in different languages and all these things. And so Lani and I started doing it. So Lani would say, see you later, peace out, da 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 da. And at one point I said au revoir, and Lani said arrivederci, and I said arriva Martin.
And we met her at an event, and
Yes,
we actually took pictures and with her. And I remember we both said, "Okay, that's a girl crush right there,"
yes,
because
that's my girl crush.
Ariba is so powerful. She's just so accomplished and just a wonderful person.
Yes,
And
with
and
so
on that, so and we say it every time we talk. The key, the challenges or the game is you to be the first to say it and the last to say it.
yes,
And that's the way
yes,
it was with my mother. I'd say, Anya, uh, arrivederci. This my mother would say something back, but she'd always make it a little quirky. And the quirky came from Sean this time because Sean said, I think we said arrivederci, and Sean said arriva Martin. And so ever since then, every time we talk, it is a race to see who's going to say Ariba Martin first, and
and like
and then now we actually hang up on each other because once whoever says Ariba Martin last, the conversation's over. So you say, okay, oh, you going to the game, Ariba Martin, click.
and
You
you have
have
to hit
to hang up so you don't give her a chance to say anything else. But
And
anyway, Todd,
this is
Ariba
the
Martin.
fun and silly. This is the fun, silly cut up part of Lani and I's relationship. We just have a blast with everything, and life is way too short to do anything else except have a blast.
Yeah.
And so we have definitely gone past. I think this is the longest show, and I love it. Gwendolyn says, Terry, No Words was an amazing poem. I love it and want it for myself. Absolutely. And Gwendolyn is a poem girl. So I absolutely love that too. So listen, Lani girl, we have come to the end of this road. And so we have to say goodbye, or we have to say
Ariba Martin.
to the people out there. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being on here, for just being you, for being who you are in my life, in all the sorors' life, and Delta Phi's life. Want to shout out Debbie. Thank you, our Sands, for coming. Hey, Jennifer, we missed you tonight. And I want to thank all of the sorors from Delta Phi for showing up and showing out in the chat. I want to thank Connie, Dr. West, Tam, and Gwendolyn, and
Kyle, and
Sean,
Vanessa.
and Vanessa. Is Vanessa on here tonight?
But
But we're shouting out the whole chat, the
I'm not
whole
sure.
group chat.
I can't see who's on. I can't see who's on. But to
Yeah.
my brothers and sisters, my brother and sisters, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Oh,
Love
and
you.
Mary. Yes,
Hey,
Mary.
Mary.
Mwah, mwah, mwah. And to all Lani's brothers and sisters who are my brothers and sisters. Mwah, 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 mwah. And let's see. Oh, Anthony Webb, Ohio U alumni. I love that. That is so cool. Well, tell him we love that poem. And maybe we'll
Yes.
do it at the next Black
And I want
Alumni.
to say something about that no words. Make sure that your no words, behind your no words, is the behavior, the action.
Yes, yes. Love is and love does. Love
Love
is a
does.
verb.
Love
Love
is what love does.
Yes, and love is a verb, y'all. So do something, say something. This was wonderful. Thank you so much. Needed these words. Thank you, TT. It's a pleasure to have you on, my sister. Smooches and looking forward to the next one. Well, Connie, look, girl, you're gonna be on the next one. So hello. Absolutely. We're so excited to have you on. Connie is an amazing powerhouse. She's written a book, and we will be on next week talking about various other kinds of loss. Not just loss as it looks like death. Connie is going to talk about the loss of divorce, and we're going to have another guest pop in and join us who will talk about losing a child very, very, very early after you've done everything and planned for that baby. So next week will be another poignant show, and we are so glad that you have joined us tonight, and we hope that you'll join us again next week and every week on Boss Talk. Blessings, Shan B. I know who that is. It just hit
Good
me.
night, Shalane.
I am so excited to share that Shan B is LaShonda Blevins, who is a powerhouse woman who will be joining Living Loved Pathways to Holistic Healing. She will be joining our team starting next week, and I'm so honored to have her as one of our new therapists. Yes, it just hit me who that was. Good night, Shellanne.
Good
Jack,
night,
we're going
Shalane.
to say good night to you. God has spoken through both of
Good
you,
night,
so inspiring.
Jackie, Sir
Thank
Jackie.
you for the healing process. Absolutely. And thank you for joining T-Man Divorce. Connie says she is humbled and honored, and as I am as well, my sister. So listen, y'all, we're going to
Wait
shut.
one second, Sean. Can somebody please write Ariba Martin? Please write Ariba Martin and Ariba Martin, Sean.
In the Ariva Martin to you as well, my love. Good night, Jerry. Jerry, no, you have to say Ariva Martin. And so listen, this has been Boss Talk, and we are so glad to have you because I know that you are all bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And we'll see you next week at 6 o'clock. Loving y'all. Live loved. I'm probably the only one that's still left to do it.
I know I can't.
She put it in. Thank you, Camelia. Thank you, T-Man.
Thank you.
We love you all, and we'll see you next week. Lanny, stay on so we can chat, girl. All
Okay.
right, y'all. We are out. Live love.
Ariba Martin.
All right, Martin.
Nuh-uh. I said it.